Well, there is a whole lot more to discuss when it comes to these events in the Middle East and North Africa and how U.S. foreign policy relates to them. We want to take more now of a bird's eye view and connect some of the dots in terms of what we've seen over the last 7 days and also what we've seen over the last few years and decades. I'm joined now by RT correspondent Rima Abu Hamdia to tell us more. And Rima, let's put aside, some of these specific events for a moment and talk more broadly about these events and what they mean on a larger scale.
Well, first of all, I would say that these events, these are Arab nations who are very sentimental, very emotional. They saw something happening, they saw the film being produced, and they want to protest this. And taking out to the street was their only way to protest this. So because they are very sentimental, we've seen this happen before. They demonstrated against the burning of the Quran in Bagram base in Afghanistan. They demonstrated against the cartoonist, the Danish cartoonist who depicted Prophet Muhammad. We've seen that happen before, and it also died just as quickly as it started and just as fiercely as it started. So we don't know what's going to happen when it comes to this. It might just be another example of how the Arabs show their feelings towards something that is happening on the ground right now. The other thing is, a lot of it has to do with what's going on in the Arab world at the moment, the protests, the Arab Spring, or whatever you want to call it, the revolutions. They brought, a lot of these revolutions brought Islamist governments to power. People expected that those governments will probably act differently when they see something like this happening to their prophet. None of this have happened. These governments acted exactly as the previous governments did. They stopped the protests. They actually fired at people. A lot of people were killed in these protests, and people are probably angrier, more angry now that those governments that they brought to power through revolutions have done exactly what the previous governments done. And I think that just adds a lot of fuel to the fire that is burning in the Arab world at the moment.
And certainly lends some interesting perspective to some of those people who believed, for example, in Egypt, when you saw, the Muslim Brotherhood take power, that things would change significantly. That so far, they haven't necessarily, again, though it's only been a few days. But Rima, I want to look at this also in a different way. Much of the violence that's taking place around the world right now is taking place in countries that, frankly, the United States has given quite a bit of aid to, financial and military aid. And we've put together a map. So I just want to put that up on the screen for you and for our viewers to show a little bit of how that breaks down. These are some of the countries that we've given to. Afghanistan, $20 billion, Egypt, $3 billion, Libya, $32 million, Pakistan, $4.65 billion. So here you have quite a few countries and the amount of money that is given. And yet, in most of these countries, people from the U.S., Americans, are not they're certainly not guaranteed safety. They're not guaranteed safety in their own country either. But they're not. A lot of them don't feel secure, especially at this moment. Talk a little bit about that relationship of money and what the return on the investment has been.
A lot of people would not even call it an investment in the Arab world. They would give it all kinds of different names. Definitely not an investment. A lot of people see. I was just reading an article today about the foreign investment in the Arab world, and a lot of people, including this article, called it the new occupation to control, or the new way to control the Arab world through foreign aid to these countries. Many people see this aid coming to the Arab world from one hand and being taken away from them from a different hand, meaning that these are countries, a lot of the countries, they either produce oil, and therefore a lot of the aid money doesn't make any sense to them. Why would you give aid to Libya, for instance, a country that produces a lot of oil that can basically actually give away money to other Arab countries in need? A lot of these people see that these, or this aid, assistance, the word translates into Arabic, by the way, just means that the U.S. is trying to meddle into their own countries, into their own affairs, by way of trying to give you money, whether through military, to support the military, or to support the social and non-government organizations there.
But do you think people who live there, do you think they have a sense, A, how much money is being spent in their country, and B, where it's going?
No. The answer is simple. A lot of people have not seen this money. We're not talking about money that goes directly into people's pockets. We're talking about money that goes either to the military organizations, to the military complexes in those countries, or that goes to NGOs. And I want to make a distinction here because the people on the ground in the Arab world make this distinction. They see the foreign aid that goes to the military industries in their own countries, the military institutions of their country, as something that may be necessary. But on the other hand, they see the assistance or the aid that comes through organizations as something that they have to question. And we've seen that happen before, even before the revolution started. We've seen a lot of people questioning why are we receiving a lot of money through organizations that have basically helped nothing or have not contributed a whole lot to the country. And when you're talking assistance, people see that they want to see changes on the ground. They have not seen that. The poverty is the same.
Absolutely. So it's the question is, whose hands is that money actually going to? An important question. Sorry, Reem, but we are out of time. Great to have you on. RT Arabic correspondent Reema Abu Hamzia. Thanks so much.